Hi, this is Javi with my home recording experience. And today I want to talk to you about the fact that I follow Warren Heward and the Produce Like a Pro YouTube channel. And I saw when he announced that metal mix contest, and I downloaded the tracks. I mixed the song basically, and then for some reason and timing, I couldn't get to submit the mix, but I wanted to. Anyways, then I saw the video where he announced the winners, and I heard the mixes, the winning mixes, and I thought to myself, well, my mix is not any different from those mixes actually. So I kind of went and finished the mix, and now it's ready. Uh, to my opinion, it's ready. And I wanted to show it to you, and if maybe Warren can see it and the other guys can see it, would be great. And if I can get some feedbacks, would be even better. So here's my session of the mix, and how this is how the tracks are laid out, and this is how I separated the song in markings. I don't really know what verse or chorus or what they are or where they are, but this is how I get to separate the mix so I can organize it. And starting at the top, this is my channel for my vocal right now with this microphone. This is a Townsend Lab Sphere L22, which they actually use in the recording of the drums as overhead, so I use them. And I used the plugin, and I selected a microphone and all that stuff that you can do with that with these microphones. It's awesome. Okay, so then I start with drums, kick, snare, toms, hi-hat overheads, and room mics. In red you see my parallels and effects. In greens you see my microphone bosses. Then we have bass, we have the bass boss, some parallels. Then we have guitars, the guitar boss, parallel, vocals. I have sub bosses before the main vocal boss. I have some parallels and effects. These are overheads that they double record because of the Townsend, for the people that didn't have the Townsend. And these are guitar DIs that I didn't use. I didn't reamp. I was going to, but I couldn't get to it. So right out of the gate, this is how the mix sounds. Okay, so it's there, so you have an idea of what's going on here. Alright, so from the top, which is the left on the mixer window, we have the kick. We have 3 kicks. Front kick in, main, which I believe is the in. And this seems to be like a third mic that I believe is in as well. So no processing on the individual channels, although I did use a tape that Luna has. This is Universal Audio, the Universal Audio recording software, and I use the tape. And I have a kick sub mix, and this is what I'm using, API 560, giving it some highs and some lows, cutting off some 500, 1176 blue, for ratio 4:1, and LA2A, and that would sound like this. I'm not putting a gate on it. I didn't feel it was necessary. And this is I'm sending this to a kick and snare crush, which is this. And also I'm sending this to an Ocean Way plugin, which I use this Ocean Way plugin as an overall type of bus that I can send different instruments to have the feel of the whole mix, that it was all recorded at the same time and in the same place, you know. And this is the snare mix, and I use tape. I did use some gate here from the API channel strip, some filter, EQ, snare top and snare bottom, 1176 on the top snare mic, 4:1 ratio, and this is going to a snare submix which has a Pultec 8K and 100K. That's smiley face, regular curve, EQ curve. And these two are going to a kick and snare crush parallel, which is an 1176 blue with, I believe this is the whole button thing, I guess. Fast attack, fast release, and it sounds like this. With the kick and snare crush. There's a difference. Okay, so moving on, toms. I have the tape. This tape is all set up the same way for the drums. You have, with Luna, you have 4 slots that you can separate different settings. And this is the setting for the drums. So the toms sounds awesome. The whole thing sounds great. The whole production, the recording was really good. And again, no processing on the toms. They sounded great to me with the tape. And the tom submix, what I have is this. Some presence here, some top, some bottom. And I'm cutting the boxy stuff at 500. Again, 1176 blue, sounds great. And I have just cutting the soft stuff with the Pro Q2, and it sounds like this. Let me look for a fill. Okay, and I have a tom crush as well. I wanted to emphasize what the toms because they're really really good fills and they sounded great. So with the tom crush, it sounds like this. Without, you can feel the bottom filling into it. And what I have in this send, I'm sending it to the Tom Crush and sending it to that Ocean Wave plugin and some reverb. And what I have here is this 175B on limiter mode. Sounds great. This kind of mix, and I have automation on this mix, depending on this side. Actually, I usually have it on kind of like I think this is 79, 80 or something like that. And on the fills, I have the full mix at 100. So on the fill, you see that it changes to 100. So I have this automated on the fills. And the reason I changed the mix on this compressor is because I'm not gating the toms. The toms, I think they were recorded with condensers because they have a lot of bleed. So what I did is I clip gain. As you can see here, I clip gain on the regular, where they were not used, to get some feel. To not, I don't want to gate them because I don't want to lose the feel of the bleed of the microphones. And also it sounded really cool with the reverb. The reverb was coming into the snare and kick on the bleed of the tom mics, and it gave it something nice. So I clip gain it where it sounded good to me, and I kept the regular volume with the clip gains on the fills. I kept the regular volume on the tom fills, and I clip gain where it doesn't have a fill, but I clip gain it a little bit to maintain the bleed that was coming into the tom mics, which sounded really good. So this is where a tom fill is, right in the middle, and this is where it's not. So when it's not in a tom fill, I just kept it at, this is like around 79. So it keeps it not as forward as when the fill happened, but still a little. Then transient master, which I have here as well. I didn't show it on the kick and snare crush. This is the transient master on the kick and snare crush. This is the transient master on the toms. More sustain. And this is what I'm doing on the EQ. Here, as I said, my microphones go to a drum bus, and my parallels and effects, they go straight to the main bus. Okay, moving on, we have the hi-hat. This is pan left, so I believe the song is pan drummer's perspective. Like overhead left and right, they are panned as drummer's perspective. I have the same tape setting, and this is the Townsend Lab plugins, and I have the C12 microphone with this is a wide cardioid pattern. It sounded good that way. No processing, and they go to an overhead submix, which has some bottom cutting some boxiness, and it sounds like this. You see how it brings in the room. Okay, moving on. I'm just sending this to the Ocean Way again to have the feel and have more of the room. Okay, so moving on, we have the room mono, and the room mono is going through tape. Cutting some a little 800s and the rumble here at 46, and it sounds like this with the room mono. I'm gonna add it in within the song. And I'm sending it to this bus here, which has the 175B on limiter mode, fully mixed with API EQ, cutting some 500, giving it some lows and a little presence, and it sounds like this. I'm gonna turn this on while this is running. Okay, moving on, we have the room mics. They had close mics and far mics. And again, no processing, just tape. And on the room mic sub mix, I have just cutting a little 400, and it sounds like this. Again, you hear how it adds the room sound, which is really cool. And I'm sending these mics to this bus to a room stereo crush with this Fairchild to give it some tone, and it sounds like this. Let's see, I'm gonna add it in. So you see how it adds room sound and it adds presence to the kick and snare as well. Really good. And this is not even the full version of this. Is the legacy version. Yeah, the legacy. And this is the drum bus where the microphones goes, and on the drum bus I have just master tape, and to me it didn't need anything else, no processing, and I'm just sending it to a parallel which has this 33609 NIF, and I'll show you how it sounds. It adds even more presence. It pushes even more forward. When it's funny when you think that it's coming forward and forward and forward, and it just can go even further forward. So it's great. And this is the reverb for the drums. I just put the plug in, and first sound I liked it, the whole, and that's what I used. Not complicate myself by looking for 1,000 river sounds. I just liked that one and went for it. I like the length that it gives to the kick and snare. Okay, so moving on, we have the bass. This is a different tape setting. It's a different tape setting from the drums. This is how it's set. I'm pushing it a little bit on the input and compensating on the output. And I'm using master tape on the bass bus. And also I'm using the Pultec here on the bus, giving it as some lows and some presence at 3K, and also cutting the rumble with the Pro Q2, and it sounds like this. And I'm sending to a couple parallels. This is an SPL saturation. I'm blasting it, giving it harmonics and blasting it with saturation. And some API 560, giving it some presence here at 2K and 125, cutting some 500. And here I'm using this other saturator, which is kind of like a band saturator. I did some full track here and to the low mids here, and it adds. This is what it adds. So yeah, the parallels with the saturations, they bring it forward and they gives it that grind for the rock stuff, for the metal stuff. So okay, guitars. We have this other tape setup. This is how it is, pushing it on the input, compensating on the output, and this is, I'm using the 450 here. Master tape, and what I have on processing here is just cutting some rumble here on the, this is kind of like a these tracks goes on the chorus, and these tracks is the main rhythm for the song. That's how they send it, and this is what I have for the left and the right. Left and right. This is just a hair difference. I'm cutting the same thing, but on the 350 here I'm cutting a little more. I'm cutting here at 300, so it's a little different sound. This had more bass rumble to it, low mids here, the mud as as they call it, and I wanted to cut a little more of it. And on the choruses, they sound like this. So yeah, they go on the chorus, or what I call the chorus. I believe it is the chorus. And then the regular verse guitars, they have the same tape setting, but no, I have no processing on it. And I'm sending this to a parallel, which the parallel you didn't hear the sound on the parallel. I'll put it right up, and I'm using this Fairchild. It gives it tone. I like how it sounds. So the main guitars, they sound like this. Right, so the Fairchild, what is doing, I'm sending the whole guitars to that Ocean Way to blend them in. And what the Fairchild is doing is this. Let's see here. So you see how with the Fairchild the guitars come up front and they feel out really good, and the Fairchild gives them a really great tone. I like it. Okay, so we got to the vocals, and I believe they had two guys singing on this. They sounded great. As you see, I didn't process barely anything. I separated them, and I gave them their own bus. This is like a sub bus, and I have a main Vox bus, which they all go in. This is their particular tape setting, and I'm pushing it harder than the other instruments and compensating. And I'm using the GP9 tape setting. And on the main, this is what I'm doing. Cutting some mud, cutting wasn't necessary, giving it some presence with the mids, a little bit on the kind of like the high mids, and cutting some six that they were some you know. And also here they were some, I'm using this as a de-esser. And on the what I call the lead vocal, just kind of like the same thing, but I'm cutting less mud than this guy here, I guess. 300. Oh no, it is the same. Basically, I'm cutting less. I'm doing less low cutting, because I'm calling this the main vocal. This is the guy that sings mostly throughout the whole song, and I want more presence out of him than this guy. I'm cutting as of 132 hertz, and this is at 80, so I'm giving more resonance and presence to the what I'm calling the lead vocalist. And they sound like this. Let's see here. Oh well, and I have a master tape, and what I'm doing on the main vocal boss for the two guys is a smiley face. Well, not a smiley face. I'm pushing 5 here, 5K and 100K. 1176 blue at 20 ratio, 20 to 1. And I'm cutting a little more here for to help with the S's on both guys. And this sounds like this. Open up your ears, can you see what's coming here? All right, heavy metal. Okay, so what I'm sending, these are my parallels and effects for the vocals, and what I'm doing here is I chose a slap for this guy, for the second vocalist, and for the lead vocalist I went with quarter note, which I'm automating. You're gonna hear it. I'm automating the trails. I chose a plate reverb. The UAD plate reverb sounds great, and this is the Ocean Wave plugin that I'm sending all the instruments here. So this is what's happening with the effects and the parallels. I'm actually not using parallel compression. This is my compressor for the whole vocal stuff, which again, the production was great, the recording was great, so this must have been recorded with great processing. Open up your ears, can you see what's coming here? Hold on for the process of the approach. Can you see what's coming down? Follow through the burst of back. Return to the streets of forces of the earth. Okay, so basically the lead guy sings the verse and the other guy sings the chorus. So this is how the other guy sounds. Forces of the earth. Ações do caos onde a cegueira te mata. Distante do mal, inevitável te ataca. A verdade vira essência dessa rebeldia. De noite, noite, dia, de noite, noite, dia. Eu vou buscar o que é nosso diante da multidão, sem medo do revés. Enfrente a escuridão, ser racional diante da atitude. De forma rude, a virtude é o coração de ferro e no enferruja a funde. The turning point is now. So how they sound by themselves is like this. Open up your ears! Can you see what's coming here? Move on for the monsters of the oppressed! So I'm gonna be adding the effects as it goes along. Open up your ears! Can you see what's coming here? Move on for the monsters of the oppressed! Can you see what's coming down? Follow through the burst of back. Return through the streets of forces of the earth. Aos olhos do caos onde a cegueira te mata. Distante do mal que inevitável te ataca. A verdade vira essência dessa rebeldia. De noite, noite, dia, de noite, noite, dia. Eu vou buscar o que é nosso diante da multidão, sem medo do revés. Enfrenta a escuridão, ser racional diante da atitude. De forma rude, a virtude é o coração de ferro que no enferruja funde. Sounds good. They sound good. So the panning that I did is that I kept like a doubling vocal that they have. I put it on the left side, and they had a scream that I kind of like panned to a little to the right. And well, this is the whole thing. And now my mix bus, it has the mix bus master tape setting, and I have the SSL G compressor, slow attack, fast release, 2:1 ratio. I'm filtering a little bit so it doesn't get the super lows. Fully mixed. Pultec EQ with 60 and 10K. That's the smiley face thing. I have a Pro Q2 just cutting a little bit of rumble. I'm keeping it a little so as if this were to be sent to mastering, the mastering guys have some lows to play with, and I'm cutting a little bit of the mod here, the low mids, which sounding a little crowded. I'm using this for stereo expander. And these are the limiters that I use when I printed the song. It is not like this how I'm printing the song. I'm using this enhance, which gives it a little more forward presence and saturation. I'm keeping it like this, but I'm just doing this setting so it doesn't clip on my screen recording software, which it clips if I keep the same setting as I am exporting it to listen it to in the car and stuff like that. So it doesn't clip for YouTube for the screen recording. This is my setting. But this is regularly at +3 input gain and like 0.1, minus 0.1 output trim. And then I have this Pro L2 as a second limiter. And this is at 0, but I put it on +3 dBs. And just doing the minus 0.1 here, which is like this when I export it. And I use this as a reference. I just kept it here because I use it in my main bus, but I don't have anything else, anything to compare it to here, so I didn't use anything. And that's it. That is the whole mix. So I'm gonna print it. I'm gonna export it out of the track, and I'm gonna play it I'm gonna play it now so you can hear it exactly how it sounds exported with the limiting.
Condenaram a viver num sistema enjaulado, num labirinto que me Fighters now, we watch the sirens fall, and the sun's to history. One by one we play right.
So thank you so much, and I'll see you on the next video.